I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I decided to write love letters to my children and let them know how much I love them, that this had nothing to do with them, that I just couldn't be who I came here to be, was a loving parent, and give them that direction. It just wasn't me anymore. I was gone. I was lost. So as I was writing love letters to my children, my body hit the floor and my spirit rose up into what many people call the void, which was complete darkness, vastness, emptiness, but complete peace came over me. And I was like, wow. It's very shocking, especially when you're leaving and then you're returning and now you're going to, your whole life has changed, you know? It's changed and completely. And how do you navigate the earth knowing all of these things?
Good evening and welcome to Earth to the Other Side. My name's John Glasspool. I'm your host, and tonight I'm speaking with Susan Redwine, who had a near-death experience 30 years ago, and she's here to tell us about it. Susan, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Right? Thank you, John.
Let's get started with your experience back in, 30 years ago. Tell us how it happened. Take us back.
30 years ago, um, I had been going through a dark night of the soul for about 2.5 years, which was caused from me never addressing what I had gone through as a child in my family. I was in a war zone, and there was a lot of trauma, pain, and tragedy that had happened. Things I had to forget and close the door on memories in order to wake up the next day and live. So we have that ability as humans to forget. We've forgotten our divinity. We've forgotten our humanity. We have the ability to forget. So those things that had happened were coming up for me to address, and I just couldn't look at them. I couldn't face it. I didn't want to know, but the anger started coming up within me. And so I was suppressing what had happened, but at the same time, I was a very successful person. I had 3 children um, that I was a single parent with, and I was highly successful. I had 2 businesses. So I was doing all these things to keep me from addressing what had happened. I never faced it and I never wanted to, but it was coming back up and I didn't know what to do, and I couldn't see a way out of anything. So one day there was just nothing left, and I made a choice to leave the earth. And as I did, complete peace came over me. And I knew that's the answer. I can't leave my children with the anger I experienced as a child. I just couldn't leave that legacy. So once I made that decision, I also made a plan to take them on one last vacation with me and have some really great memories and be at peace before all this happened. So I made a plan, and one morning while we were on vacation in Smoky Mountains, where I live now, I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I decided to write love letters to my children and let them know how much I love them, that this had nothing to do with them, that I just couldn't be who I came here to be, was a loving parent, and give them that direction. It just wasn't me anymore. I was gone. I was lost. So as I was writing love letters to my children, my body hit the floor and my spirit rose up into what many people call the void, which was complete darkness, vastness, emptiness, but complete peace came over me. And I was like, wow, what's happening to me? But at the same time, I was about to ask. And before I even asked, I was given the answer. I was asking, is everyone going to be okay? And I heard, everything is as it should be. And as I heard those words, it unlocked started unlocking my divine memory. And I was like, oh my God, that's right. Everything is as it should be. And as soon as I addressed it, boom, my spirit started going through this the universes, the galaxies, star systems. I was being pulled with such velocity. There's no human word for it. But I saw my ethereal cord being pulled. It felt backwards and forwards at the same time, but I couldn't tell. And as I landed home, I was like, oh my God, this is where I'm from. I knew it. I knew that with all of my being. And I was greeted with this bright, shining soul who is shielding his energy from me because he didn't want me to know who he was at that time. Because this was all about me, not him or anyone else. And he let me into the most beautiful crystalline chamber, and it was purple that we don't have here on Earth. So many different colors of purple, and I knew that that was part of who I was as a soul, was this purple energy. And they laid me on the table, and 12 other souls surrounded me in purple burlap, and they were also shielding their energy. I was just so amazed. I didn't have time to do anything except what they want me to do. We do. So they laid my energy on this table and they put their hands over me like Reiki and began infusing me with unconditional love energy. And as I began filling up with this love, a part of my spirit, my energy shot over to the river of life. And that information came to me, and I saw the most beautiful colors. Everything on earth is alive with divine essence and energy and tones and colors of its own and songs of its own. It was sacred geometry and motion and constant creation. I couldn't believe it. And I put my hand into the river and I became one with everything. And the music was so beautiful. I was like, oh my God, that sounds like angels singing. And part of my energy and essence that was still on the table and at the river of life, part went over to be with the angels, who are huge beyond our imagination. And they were singing, and they were telling me in their singing words, they were singing unconditional love, saying, we have messages for you to give to mankind and humanity. And I was like, okay, all right. Me? I'm not getting any of this, but I'm just in awe of what's happening that I'm going to do whatever. Okay. So they said, tell everyone, thank you for your bravery and your courage for coming to Earth at this time. Remember your greatness and your divineness at all times. Love is the answer. Always and always. Love is the answer. And I was like, wow. And part of my energy and essence went over to the music of the spheres, and I saw all the planets, all the universes. Everything was in constant creation and song, that we are part of that orchestra. We all have our own tone. Everyone is so important. I can't even imagine. There are no words. It's beyond human comprehension how we're all so part of this great connection of everything and all the oneness of all. So I looked at the table, and this is, all happening at once, but I'm describing it in different places. I looked at my energy, and it had filled up. And as soon as it filled up, my masculine and my feminine came together, and I merged with my higher self energy. And I was in the Akashic records, witnessing all of me in my totality, past, present, and future lives, and everything I had ever been and experienced. And I saw everything from 12 perspectives, and nothing was in judgment. It was all in the face of learning who we are. As human beings, there are 12 perspectives. When I saw everyone I had ever interacted with, just in the most amazing unconditional love, I was seeing through God's eyes. I was, because I was part of that. And I just couldn't wait to get back and tell everyone how important they are, how important we are in this world, and just how brave and courageous we are to be here and to share our stories. And all of a sudden, I heard the angel singing again, and I saw my energy going back into my body. And as my energy went back into my body, I was going, wow, wow, what is all of this? And I picked my body off the floor and I went to the couch and I laid down. And my first thought was, it's time to save Earth, which was ridiculous. I was just jumping up and now I'm back to saving. Okay. What was really neat was that I didn't know how I was going to put all this together. It's very shocking, especially when you're leaving and then you're returning, and now your whole life has changed. You know, it's changed and completely. And how do you navigate the earth knowing all of these things? Because you want to tell everyone, but I wasn't allowed. They told me, no, no, this is not the time. I had to learn how to heal, and I had to face those things that I had refused to face. But I did ask my guides, during that time period, please explain what happened to me. And they said, you surrendered your will to live. And we have that ability to surrender our will to live under certain circumstances. But they also told me that my near-death experience was always a part of my divine plan. Always going to be something. I had to go through all of those things to get to this place where I was now, to want to heal and be here now for what's happening to everyone else, because that was a map of what's happening. Everyone on earth is having a near-death experience, in my opinion. And remembering who they are and taking back their power. But for 3 days after, and 3 is very important number in my life. It's mind, body, soul, and staying in alignment and being able to embody the divineness that I saw. Was that 30-year period to now, was I had to walk in that divinity. And during those 3 days afterwards, anytime I took a nap, anytime I went to sleep at night, boom, I was instantly back and being guided and giving direction. Even though when I came back, I had no idea what was said. So I had to learn that as I healed. Those pieces and parts of my remembrance came back over those 30 years. So right now I know that as my multi-dimensioning, it's happening to everyone right now. When we get our life shaken up, that's how it happens. Mm-hmm. Is going through those. It breaks our hearts open to unconditional love. But I came back with unconditional love in my knowingness. So I always, it doesn't go away once you know it. It's always part of you. So I didn't know how I was going to, because I loved everyone I loved. I knew why they were here. I love murderers. I didn't care who you were. So I had to learn how to discern the well-meaning from those who have lost their way. Mm-hmm. Okay, but we're all divine beings. And that was the message. Mm-hmm. It's unconditional. We're all part. There is no separation. There's no need for prayer because you are always connected. All you have to do is ask and then be able to receive.
totally agree with you. Thank you so much for sharing that lovely experience with us. Wow.
Yes, it was life changing. And now at this point in my life, I help to remind others who they are. You know, I work with others through Zoom across the world, bringing their divine remembrance back to them. But people change right before my eyes. So
Yeah.
we're all here to hold each other's hands in a circle across the world because we're all spread out like seeds around the world to bring our light to the darkness.
Mhm. You know, a lot of near-death experiencers rather come back saying that, they were given a lot of knowledge and downloads, most of which they forget when they come back. And so I'm just curious, how much do you actually remember? Because I have a sense that maybe you came back with a little more than the average soul's experience.
Everything.
Everything. Wow.
Yes. And you know what? Some people have asked me, are you sure that wasn't a dream? And I said, well, I don't know how your divine remembrance comes back in a dream. So pretty sure it wasn't. No, I remember everything. I live it um, daily. It's part of me. I've integrated my divinity. And that's what we're here to do. This is the first time on any planet that others are embodying their divinity before leaving the physical. So we're shifting.
So having this jump in the timeline that you experienced on the other side, how does that now affect your life? So, obviously things that which those things that haven't happened yet as well. You know, does that sort of mess things
Well,
up?
it's happening now.
Hmm.
We're in the prophecies. We're in, yes, we are in the prophecies right now. It's um, it's a time of awakening. So that's why all of this chaos and confusion is happening because the dark has to come up for it to. It's always been there for generations upon generations, and nobody's been allowed to remember their divinity because it's been controlled
Hmm.
by churches, religion, governments, whatever, you name it. So whatever has, I know my sovereignty. When I saw my other lives, I was like, wow, I did that. Okay, I know why I'm here now. To bring back the remembrance of sovereignty. That it doesn't matter to me if I leave tomorrow. Nothing matters to me, except for this. And that's what I do on Facebook. I share my experience in mystic poetry so that others can take a ride with those words, and they do. They tell me, oh my God, that's me. And I'm like, yeah, it's all about you. So I'm a reminder.
And so you said that you had at one point sort of felt like you were seeing through God's eyes, right?
Yes.
And so I'm curious, like, can you go into some detail in terms of some of the things that you saw that you remember in that perspective?
Well, here's the thing. I saw through God's eyes because they're my eyes too.
Hmm.
And there's no separation. When you're one with everything, you're one with everything. A lot of many
What was
people
that like?
believe that there is an old man in the sky, but no, it's an energy. It's a God force energy. So I became one with that, and I saw through that energy just how important all my other lives, on all the things that I had done to bring this knowing in other places and times. And I also share on my Facebook page the Arcturian messages because they resonate with everything that happened to me.
The angels that you saw, these large, massive angels, do you
Energy.
energy? Do you saw them as energy? Or did you
Well,
see them?
yes, but definitely winged.
Any other details about what they look like?
Different. Each one had their own colors, but it was a lot. There was not just five. There was a lot. I went through a healing process for the last 30 years to be able to say this out loud, because still, in other interviews, I've had people who want to throw rocks at me, let's put it that way. And, I'm like, this is about unconditional love. So may peace be with you.
That's the perfect response. I love that. I'm going to use
But
that on
if
the
you're going to
street
put,
too. That's perfect.
Brene Brown says it the best. If you're going to put yourself out there, be ready. It doesn't matter what anyone says. It doesn't matter what anyone does anymore. In my living experience now, I had to get through all of that to get to this place to where I don't care what you say and I don't care what you do. I came here to do this,
Do you,
and
do
that's
you,
who I am. So,
do you think that when we were sitting with our guides and higher ups devising well, not devising, but looking over the blueprint of the life that we've either selected or, about to select, without the, with the knowledge of the various, I guess, outcomes, I think there's probably eight. This is what I've heard. I don't know if that sounds familiar to you, but there's eight different ways, but with the free will, with the free will factor, like, so you could take, pathway A, B, C, D, but do you think that it all sort of comes out to the same thing in the end? Like this, it's always going to be the same outcome no matter what path you choose. It's just going to be a different
yes,
experience.
yes,
Okay.
yes. That's why I saw in 12 perspectives. I saw the whole 12 perspectives, and here I am having everything at once. It wasn't, it was a flash. I was like, oh, wow. It's a lot like Men in Black. You get flash, boom, you remember
Oh yeah.
everything, and you're like, ah, it's pretty mind blowing. That's why it's hard to put into human words because let's use the word God.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. Is beyond human comprehension. It's a feeling and nothing. I was everything and nothing at the same time.
Can you talk about the Akashic records a little bit? Like, what was it like? What did they look like? I mean, was it also presented as energy, or did you have a bookshelf full of records in front of you?
No, it presented as energy, but I saw movies.
Oh, okay.
And okay, let's say the movie, I was stepping into each chapter of my holy book. All right. So I was stepping into each, but I was living it from 12 perspectives. And I was seeing all these 12 perspectives. It was alive. I was part of it. And you can step into your life. So I brought that ability back with me to step into others' Akashic records with permission only. What I see is their soul contracts that they wrote. I see it, as an image in what they came here to learn and experience, and where everyone, whoever I'm working with, is stuck in their energy, and how I'm giving guidance to them. I open doors for them to change their life if they so choose. So all I'm doing is guiding. I'm hearing the guidance it's given to me through the Akashic records. It's really pretty amazing.
That's amazing. Amazing. Would you equate that with like a life review sort of thing?
Oh yeah, it was all lives review. That's why I was like, wow,
So
I did that.
not just this lifetime, previous as well, and future lifetimes.
Past, present, future.
Wonderful.
Because there is no time.
Hmm.
And a lot of people have a hard time understanding that, but even though we have time on Earth, there is no time.
So over there, would it more or less feel like everything is present?
Yes.
So it's not even really past, present, future. It's just everything and everything present.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's all at once. I call it cosmically orgasmic. Because you're like, oh my God.
Oh, hold on. I'm gonna write that one down. Cosmically organic.
But it's joy personified a million times.
How did you feel actually when you came back and kind of slammed back into your body? How did you feel for the next like several hours physically?
I was electric and I was blowing things up.
Blowing things up?
Yep. So if I got near any appliances,
Oh
no,
wow.
being changed so dramatically and wanting to stay now, you know, just integrating all of those feelings and going, whoa, what do I do next? Because I still had to go back to work,
Mm-hmm.
and put things in perspective and change my life accordingly. And I had to take my power back and get out of the relationship completely. So I had things my actions that I had to take to change my life,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to a shaman. I don't remember how many years after, but I looked everywhere because they didn't have internet, and stuff like that when this happened. And they had encyclopedias, but that wasn't going to help me. So I was like, where do I get help? And I knew I couldn't go to psychologists or, medical doctors during that time period because they weren't involved enough to know what I was talking about unless they had a near death experience. So there was, So I found shamans. And the very first shaman that I went to, my ex husband was with me because he's a musician and he wanted to do the drumming. I was like, yeah, that'll be great. So I went to the shaman. He goes, on the way there, he says to me, do you think this is going to work? I said, I don't know, but I'm willing to find out because I need help. And oh my God, the shaman took me on a ethereal journey to retrieve my memories from my childhood. And it was just so amazing. And we went to the void again, and that's where the parts and pieces of me that were hiding, that I have my memories I refuse to know about. So my first 3-year-old, I came to my 3-year-old self and I was like, will you come back with me? I'm ready. And she said, no, not until you stop tap dancing to make other people happy. And I said, I make that promise. And she came back and I felt like a child. I was like, oh, wow. So, and then my 8-year-old self, my 12-year-old self, and those memories came back. And I had to go through a lot of forgiveness of myself, other people, just the whole thing, because this was the life that I chose. I saw that, I saw my pre-birth meeting. I saw that during my experience, and it was my soul group. The 12 souls that were in my experience are my soul group, which I found out later in the next shamanic experience. And I got the memories of them back, and those pieces and parts came back with me. And when I woke up from the journey, I looked at the shaman and I said, wow, that was only 5 minutes. And she goes, it was 3.5 hours. I said, okay. So you lose tone. As we were walking out the door, my ex-husband and we looked at the sky and I said, do you see that? And he said, yeah. And it was heavenly colors. The whole sky was lit up in heavenly colors. So part of him had gone on the journey, even though he was only drumming. And it lasted for 3 hours. So they sat me down in this chair, and all of a sudden, boom, I'm above Earth. And what people call hell is an energy. that is above the earth, that's what I was seeing. That was horrible. It was everything mankind and humanity had done to each other for generations upon generations. Was it had created this hell energy. And many were stuck in it, stuck in the hell energy. And I was like, wow, this is hell. But it was so physically noxious to me. What I was witnessing, I was like, I'm not your girl. I gotta go. You need me to do anything with that. So they took me back. And I was like, wow, is this about to happen? And they said, yes, it's about to be broken open. And I didn't know how, but I knew, and I didn't know when because there's no time and spirit. So I knew something was coming, which turned out to be COVID.
Mm.
Your energy is out of whack. Okay. I know because mine was too. And there's suppressing going on. I know that for a fact. Everything has to be looked at and faced to for you to overcome and be like a phoenix rising above it, to turn your pain into your power, because you came here to experience that for a bigger purpose and bigger. Yes, it's so much bigger than you, like it was for me, and just in order for you, I see everything in my life now as a gift. It doesn't matter what it was a gift, because how can I know someone's experience without having had it? And I believe me, my life was frying pan after frying pan after. I'm like, what is this? Coming back, rising above it, taking my power back from the situation, but also being very world changing in what I would and would not accept. So I had to use my power and my earth experiences. Yes. And to say, I'm not going to take that and you're wrong, but if you want to take it to the next level, let's go. To be that person. Yes. To be who I am now. To say, I don't care what you guys say or do. I know what happened to me. And I stand in the truth of it all. So it's for you to remember who you are. It wasn't just for me. But when I saw my pre-birth, you know, planning session, as we were all in a circle holding hands, and they were saying to me, "Are you ready? Are you willing? Are you able?" And then Jesus stepped into the circle, and I felt his peace, love, and understanding. He was my brother, and there was no praying. We were equals, and and I said, "Use me." So I'm being used for the higher good. I stay that course right now, and I'm so grateful that I'm able. And you have to forgive and accept and put the past behind you to go forward into the future. I know I did.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't pretty, it was messy. You know, as those pieces and parts came back, I didn't talk to my parents after I left for 25 years because things that had transpired, and I brought the truth to light and they didn't like it. But one day I found out that they were both dying, and I knew I had to address, that was the last thing that I had to address with them, was who do I want to be in response to this? This has to be cleared up, you know. So I moved and I lived, I changed my whole life to help them leave. But before I did, I asked for guidance, and I said, how do I honor them? Because I couldn't honor them. And I said, how do I honor them? And I heard Jesus in my ears, and he said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they did."
So what do you say? What do you say to those who just have no interest in picking up the phone and asking for help? You know, like what?
Well, I didn't. I understand it, but that was a cue that I didn't know the energy of forgiveness, because it's grace.
Mhm.
And when the energy of forgiveness flows through you, it just doesn't matter anymore. So when you're in alignment, it doesn't matter anymore. It's all a gift. If something was to happen tomorrow where somebody did this or that, I don't care. I'm not taking anything personally. You get over yourself. And that's healing. So if someone's in a not so great place, it's a huge indication from your soul self. It's time to heal.
Well, Susan, I just love your energy. It's spectacular, and I'm so grateful to you for sharing your experience. A lot to learn from this. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. And the opportunity, and to get the word out there. Get over yourself.